Before you even think about skipping, just stay. I promise you, if you give this video a few minutes of your full attention, you'll walk away with chills. There's no distractions here, no background noise, no random cuts, just pure story. And if you're still here by the end, drop a comment. I'll know you're one of the few who truly listen. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully. Who was this boy that even Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu wanted permission to strike down? The Prophet suspected him. Some companions swore they saw his eyes, one blind, one bulging, just like the Dajjal described. A boy who could read people's thoughts, who told things no one had told him. Some said he was just gifted. Others said he was possessed. But then, years later, another group of men, lost at sea, reached a mysterious island. There, they met a creature covered in hair, and a chained man who said, "I am the Dajjal. Soon I will be released." Two stories, two different times, yet both leading to the same terrifying question. Was the Dajjal already among them? And if he wasn't, then where is he now? The Island of the Dajjal. Among all the mysteries in Islamic history, one story stands out. A story told not by a scholar or a mystic, but by a man who once sailed across the sea and came back. His name was Tamim al-Dari. Once a Christian traveler, a man of the sea, until destiny carried him towards something that words could barely describe. He told this story directly to the Prophet Muhammad himself, and the Prophet didn't dismiss it. He confirmed it. And then he gathered the believers and told them all to listen. Because what Tamim had seen was a sign of the final hour. Tamim had been sailing with a group of companions when a storm threw their ship off course. For days they drifted, until they found themselves near a strange island. When they approached the shore, they were greeted by a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. A beast covered in thick hair, so matted that they couldn't even tell where its face was. The creature spoke. Yes, it spoke, and said, "Go to that man in the monastery. He is eager to meet you." They entered the island, walking through old ruins, until they found him, a man, enormous in size, chained between his neck and his knees, locked deep inside a dark cave. He began to speak, and what he said shook them to the core. The chained man asked, "Tell me, has the prophet of the unlettered people appeared?" Tamim replied, "Yes." The man said, "Then know this. Soon I shall be released, and when I am freed, I will travel to every land, every city on this earth, except for Mecca and Medina, for they are forbidden to me." That man was the Dajjal, the false Messiah, the great deceiver, the most dangerous trial humanity will ever face. When Tamim returned and told the Prophet what he had seen, the Prophet confirmed, "This is what I have been telling you about, the Dajjal." But here's where the mystery begins. If the Dajjal was already alive and chained, where exactly is that island? How is he still alive, even after more than 1,000 years? Was this story literal or symbolic? And if it's real, what happens when he finally breaks free? Dr. Yasir Qadhi explains that this narration, though authentic, has always puzzled scholars, because it clashes with other hadiths that describe Dajjal's birth, rise, and appearance near the end of times. Some scholars believed Tamim's experience might have been a vision, a glimpse through time. Others said, no, this was a real island and Dajjal has been alive, waiting for his moment. But if Dajjal has been waiting, then we must ask, has humanity already encountered his shadow before? Because long before Tamim al-Dari's sea voyage, there was another name whispered among the companions. A boy in Medina, a child who could see things others couldn't, who spoke in riddles, who claimed he was the Messiah. His name was Ibn Sayyad, the boy from Medina. Long before Tamim al-Dari's storm at sea, there was a strange boy in Medina, a child who claimed to see the unseen and whispered words that made even the companions uneasy. His name was Safi ibn Sayyad, though history remembers him simply as Ibn Sayyad. He was a young Jewish boy, born with an uncanny ability. He would speak of hidden things, predict small events, and utter phrases that left people wondering, was this a gift or a curse? One day, the Prophet Muhammad decided he had to see this boy for himself. Accompanied by Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu an, the Prophet ﷺ walked toward the outskirts of Medina. They found Ibn Sayyad sitting among some children near the gardens, muttering to himself, his eyes distant, lost in another world. The Prophet ﷺ quietly approached him from behind, hoping to catch his words unfiltered. But before he could, Ibn Sayyad suddenly turned and said, "O Muhammad, did you come to test me?" Imagine that moment. A child, barely a teenager, sensing the Prophet's presence before he even spoke. Umar froze. The atmosphere turned heavy. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, "I have hidden something for you. Tell me what it is." The boy paused. His eyes twitched. He said, "It is a duk." A duk, meaning the smoke. The Prophet replied, "Begone! You will never go beyond your limits." Because what the Prophet had hidden in his heart was the verse, "Then wait for the day when the sky will bring forth a visible smoke." Surah ad-Dukhan 44:10. He had almost guessed it, but not quite. Half-truths. That was the nature of his speech. The companions began to whisper, was Ibn Sayyad the Dajjal? Even Umar, the fearless warrior of Islam, asked the Prophet ﷺ for permission to strike him down, but the Prophet said no. If he is truly the Dajjal, you will not be able to kill him, and if he is not, then there is no benefit in killing him. Years passed. Ibn Sayyad grew older. Sometimes he appeared among the Muslims, even performing Hajj, but the suspicion never faded. Abdullah ibn Umar, radiyallahu an, the son of Umar, once swore, "By Allah, I will never forget the face of that boy." He described him as strange, unpredictable, and emotional, sometimes claiming to be Muslim, other times speaking of power and secrets he could not reveal. One day, Ibn Umar met him again, years later, during a journey, and the tension between them reignited. Ibn Sayyad said, "You think I am the Dajjal? Didn't the Prophet say the Dajjal would have no children? Yet I have children. Didn't he say he would not enter Mecca or Medina? And here I am, in both cities." He smiled, but Ibn Umar wasn't convinced. Something about his tone, his confidence, felt too self-aware. Was he lying? Or was he revealing a truth he didn't fully understand? Because the Prophet himself had once said, If he is the Dajjal, then you will not be able to overpower him. And if he is not, then you cannot accuse him. It was as if the Prophet left the question open, deliberately. In the end, Ibn Sayyad disappeared from history, quietly. Some say he died during the siege of Constantinople. Others say he simply vanished. No grave, no record, only the lingering fear that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't entirely gone, because the Dajjal was still to come, and maybe Ibn Sayyad was only the first rehearsal. But the story doesn't end here, because when the sea carried Tamim ad-Dari to that chained giant, and when Ibn Sayyad vanished into history, a much bigger truth began to take shape. Who exactly is the Dajjal? Why will he be called the false Messiah? And how will believers recognize him when the world no longer can tell right from wrong? Ibn Sayyad and the Island of the Dajjal. Years after Ibn Sayyad's strange encounters, the Prophet ﷺ's companions experienced something that would shake their understanding of the unseen world forever. It was narrated by Tamim ad-Dari radiyallahu anhu, a Christian who embraced Islam, that he and a group of men once set sail across the sea. A storm drove them to a small, unknown island, one that no map has ever truly recorded. They entered cautiously, and there, among the ruins and palm trees, they encountered a creature unlike anything human. Hair covering its entire body, unable to distinguish its front from its back. When they asked, "Who are you?" it replied, "I am al-Jassasa." The creature told them, "Go to that man in the monastery, for he is eager to know about you." So they went, and there, in a monastery deep within the island, they met a man chained from head to toe, his arms bound, his legs shackled, his hair thick and disheveled. And when they saw him, they knew instantly this was not an ordinary prisoner. The man began asking them questions. "Tell me of the Arabs. Has the unlettered prophet appeared?" They replied, "Yes." He said, "How do the people treat him?" They said, "Some believe, some do not." Then he said, "It is better for them to follow him." Then came the words that froze their hearts. "I am the Dajjal. Soon I will be permitted to emerge. I will travel the earth, except for Mecca and Medina, for they are protected from me." When Tamim ad-Dari returned to Medina, he immediately told the Prophet ﷺ what he saw. The Prophet gathered the people and said, "This story, told by Tamim ad-Dari, confirms what I have told you about the Dajjal." And the Prophet struck his stick on the mimbar and said, "He is in the direction of the Sea of Sham, or Yemen. No, rather, from the east." So now, two clues stood before the believers. Ibn Sayyad, who lived among men mysterious and unsettling, and a chained being on an island awaiting permission to emerge. Were they one and the same? Or was Ibn Sayyad merely a precursor, a test, to prepare the Ummah for something far darker? Dr. Yasir Qadhi explains, "The story of Ibn Sayyad and Tamim ad-Dari do not contradict each other. Rather, they reveal the layers of the Dajjal's mystery. Perhaps Ibn Sayyad was possessed or influenced by the Dajjal, a sample of the coming deception. Perhaps the Dajjal himself remains chained, waiting for Allah's command. And perhaps, just perhaps, the reason we don't have every detail is because this test demands faith, not certainty. The Prophet told us, "If the Dajjal comes when I am among you, I will defend you. But if he comes after me, then every believer must defend himself." He warned us that the Dajjal would come with miracles, false promises, and deceit so strong that even the learned might doubt. He will call to paradise, but it will be hell. He will call to peace, but it will be destruction. The Messenger ﷺ told us to recite the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf to protect ourselves from his trial. And he told us, the Dajjal will remain for 40 days, one day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and the rest like your days. So as we wait, we watch the world change. Nations fall, ideologies rise, technology defies limits. We wonder, are these the stepping stones to that fitna? Are we getting closer to the time when the Dajjal will finally be unchained? Only Allah knows. But one thing is certain. Every sign, every story, every warning is not for fear. It's for preparation. Because when deception becomes truth and the world kneels before falsehood, only those with firm faith will see through the illusion. If you want me to go deeper into these mysteries, the hidden stories, the signs, the prophecies, drop a comment below. Let's make this the beginning of a full documentary series by the people, for the people who still seek the truth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.